In 1997, I met a man called Damien Duncan. He's a photographer and was studying at Newport University. A friend of mine introduced me to him, and he basically mentioned an article in the Times by Brian Appleyard. That's basically the first information I received about Henrietta Lacks. I desperately wanted to meet the family. As an artist, I wanted to paint the family, listen to their story. A guy called Martin Weiss said to me, Helen, just email them. You know, he said, what are you going to lose? Just email them. So I emailed. That went off into the universe. And a friend of mine died recently. She died of cancer. And I went to her funeral. And she was a Rasta, Babs, or Thelma, some people know her in Bristol. She was a wonderful woman, and she had a wonderful funeral. And at the funeral, it was a Rasta funeral, very unusual, very spiritual and very deep. The pastor, or the person that was leading the funeral, said to call out to your ancestors. I called out to my gran, and eventually people in the audience were calling out. Then the pastor turned around and said, call out to just people that may not be related to you, but you want to thank. And I called out Henrietta. And when I got home that same day, there was an email for me, and the email was from the Lacks family. Originally, I agreed to paint portraits of 7 members of the family. But then when I got to meet the entire family, I realised, in particular, there was one night we went to Lawrence's house, and we met all his children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren, and it was such a lovely moment. We had the children and grandchildren lining up from the end of the house to the front of the house, through the veranda, and we were filming non-stop and photographing until it was dark. We just didn't stop. And the grandchildren waited really patiently, all dressed in their fineries, and it was fantastic. But afterwards we went into the living room, we sat and had a chat with Lawrence's children, and it suddenly dawned on me how some of the family members felt about Henrietta and the way she was treated, and the misjustice of her history and how it was told. And even though, you know, some people will say, yeah, but she's now, you know, historically in the kind of books. Remember, the Lacks family weren't told for 20 years, and it only came out by accident. And people have made millions of pounds of the Lacks family. And we were just sat there talking into the evening with the family. Lawrence's daughter just came out and said that, you know, she was angry at the way her family were treated, and basically exploited is the word, and that basically things were taken from their family and not given back, obviously money as well. But then I decided that, you know, that moment, that there was something we could do and I could do as an artist, and it is to give the family the portrait of Henrietta, which they no longer apparently own, give it back to them. So I said, I'll paint a portrait of Henrietta in a different colour. I'll change the medium, as I'm an artist, make it to oil on canvas, and give them the painting as a gift, along with all the other paintings I'm doing of the family portraits, and also the copyright. So they then obtain the copyright and the portraits as a gift from me. They can then use the image of Henrietta, and I'll paint her in a way that is hopefully a likeness of the photograph of her, and they can then claim back that image because it now belongs to them. And I hadn't thought about that until the moment I spoke to, you know, Lawrence's daughter, and I realised how angry she was. And there was something that you can give, and it's not necessarily money, but you can give something back, and that's what I'm trying to do as an artist, is to give back. And I haven't got a lot to give apart from my artwork, but in a way that's a powerful, I hope, thing to do, and it's a gesture of goodwill, and so that the family understand that not everybody wants to take, some people want to give, and I'm one of those people that would like to give to the family without exploiting Henrietta's memory.